Let's start back in 1958 or 9 when I entered vocational agriculture and FFA in Warren County High School. Today it's Warren Central High School, and what a vast change in agriculture and society in general has taken place over this period of years. I started under tutorage and vocational agriculture teachers of a guy named H.O. Williams and Kenneth Harvey. Those two names are very familiar and very powerful names in vocational agriculture. So I got a very basic education in agriculture and was coming from a farm, being one of 3 children raised on a farm all my life. Grew up with cattle and livestock operation. Thank goodness, I think when I was about 9 or 10 years old, my dad sold the dairy herd and went to beef cattle. So I didn't have the chore of milking cows, but we grew up on a beef forage operation, swine operation. My projects included everything from forestry management to forage management, as well as we had at that time a fairly large cattle and swine operation. So I had the basic enterprises of work, fence row cutting. I grew up in a strawberry patch. I don't have a fond love of, I couldn't eat them for several years because my dad had 15 acres of strawberries. And we hired 2 loads of berry pickers that came in. A man and his son brought 2 loads of berry pickers from Butler County every morning. And we picked those strawberries, but it was several years there that I couldn't. That was before the day of herbicides. Now you got to think it was called a grubbing hoe. And chopping weeds and grass out of strawberries and tobacco. I raised 11 acres of tobacco, I think my senior year in college, and had strawberries as a project. So that's the beginning of the Billy Ray Smith farming enterprises, was through a tobacco patch and a strawberry patch and raising a few cattle and a few hogs.
Tell us what your main activities were in the FFA in high school. What kind of things did you?
Later on, then in my senior year, Mr. James P. Bates, familiar name to vocational agriculture teachers, an outstanding gentleman, still a friend of mine. I see him very often. Was my senior advisor in my senior year, and senior ag teacher. Did an outstanding job, and my activities, my junior year I was chapter reporter. In my senior year I was chapter president, and the next year I was district secretary, and the next year I was state sentinel, stationed by the door. I can still recite that part of my speech anytime, and I look forward to coming to the state convention, because when the guys come out on the stage to do their parts, I just recite them along with them. But it gets in your system, it's in your blood. You raised the blue and gold jackets of instilled competitiveness, leadership, speaking ability, parliamentary procedure, besides the supervised agricultural enterprises that you go through. But it's all the other things that you learn and communicate in life that's so beneficial to you that you learn in FFA. Competitiveness, winning and losing, supporting other members, leadership. It's all about, I remember we went to Kansas City, one of the most exciting times. Went to Kansas City my junior year to the national convention. Well, I'd never seen a town as big as Kansas City, much less go to a convention. But then I guess one of the most exciting experiences when I went back there a few years later to get my American Farmer degree. I borrowed my dad's 1961, I had a 57 Chevrolet, and he had a 1961 Chevrolet. And lo and behold, if we got out there on I-75, if the left front wheel didn't run off that brand new car. But it was quite an experience, and I'll never forget the experience of going out there and receiving that American Farmer degree. I was fortunate to be runner-up in the regional Star Farmer contest. A guy out of Texas, a little bigger operation I had, coming from Texas, and I was competing with him in the finals of the regional Star Farmer contest. But great memories of coming up through FFA, and I'll add to that, we raised 4 children, And 3 out of 4 of them had one state 4-H vice president, and the other 3 were all involved in FFA, and Kelly, our one son, was state FFA vice president. So all of our kids, and now we've got 16 grandchildren, and I hope some of them are going to come along in FFA. Some of them live in Chicago. It's a little far away, but hopefully some of them will be involved somehow in FFA and leadership activities. Being a state FFA officer at that time, we were at the Old Kentucky Hotel downtown Louisville. Was quite of an achievement and quite of accomplishment, I thought, in dealing and going to Leadership Training Center. I was awarded my senior year over there I can't remember what award it was, Outstanding Leadership Award. And I thought, man, what a great deal here. And but just on and on, all the things I competed in national. I won 2 or 3 supervised farming projects in Kentucky, and then competed nationally, and to go to the national convention and to represent Kentucky, and to be one of the state FFA officers. At that time, I think we only had 7 or 8. Now we have 10 or 11, but it's grown into a bigger deal. But FFA gave me the foundation. Later on, I was involved in politics as a state representative, and then served as Commissioner of Agriculture. Every experience I had in FFA, I treasured, and used those later on in life as I was involved in politics and leadership in the General Assembly. I chaired the House Banking Insurance Committee for 8 years. I was vice chairman of the Agriculture Committee, and those experiences and the folks that you meet in life are what make you what you are.
What were some of your more notable achievements during those 8 years?
Well, we reorganized the department into different divisions. I guess the biggest thing that we added to the department was the processed food products, and being able to help farmers. And we had sort of a motto: if you grow it, farmers will grow. I always said they're the world's best people in production. They're sometimes the world's worst marketers. And so we took it on ourselves in the Department of Agriculture to form, actually from foundation, from grassroots up, a marketing program to help farmers realize the importance and significance of marketing. It doesn't matter how great a product you produce, if we can't find a market for a use for that, then we really haven't accomplished much. But that was, I guess, our greatest achievement. And we went after the very best people we could hire in the department. It didn't matter to me whether Republican or Democrat or an independent or what they were. We tried to find good people that had a background in agriculture, that knew rural life in Kentucky, that could do great things for agriculture, could speak and communicate on rural terms. And that was, I think, very, very achievable and very added a great thing. Some of our greatest achievements, and I think after the 3rd year I was in there, I was elected president of the SASTA, the Southern Association of State Departments of Agriculture, where we collectively with 13 other states meet and talk and plan on developing ideas. And you'd be surprised what you can pick up from another commissioner in another state that's worked there. You also pick up some things that didn't work, that you don't want to try. So that was just as important, maybe, as some of the other things. And then 2 years later, being named as president of the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture, we held both the Southern Association Convention in Kentucky and the National Association in Kentucky, which was a great achievement, I thought, for Kentucky agriculture, and spoke well for our department.
Where the label Kentucky Proud, did that start while you were the commissioner of ag?
It's been changed in different additives and different forms of it, but basically we began that program, and that initiative has grown, and we found that there was certainly an attraction, or certainly an interest in folks buying and consuming something that's homegrown or grown close to them. In fact, we found they would pay more for that product, and it was added value, we call it. to have a product that we know where the root of it is and know where it was raised or where it was produced. And that was a great program that's expanded, and other commissioners have done a great job bringing that on. And it's a cash farm income has grown in Kentucky every year in the last 12 to 15 years, and I think that's I had great support from the legislature. I got to give them credit. My background over there of 12 years, when you went to the chairman of Appropriation Revenue and asked for appropriation, it was a lot easier than maybe introducing yourself and a man or a person that wasn't known. But I had great support from the legislature and the governor's support. And then it came along what we call an Ag Development Fund. And this money, we've traveled numerous times to North Carolina, the governor and I and the attorney general, to get settlements. I'll have to say that Kentucky was the only state out of 13 states that had all three representatives at the table: the governor, the commissioner of agriculture, and the attorney general. And I think we had a united front, and I think the leadership we had there with the Governor Patton at that time and Ben Chandler really profited us well in Kentucky, because we came away with that with a very good settlement. And then we formed what we call the Ag Development Board, the Ag Advisory Committee, that said how we're going to supervise, how we're going to pass out this money that farmers have earned over a period of years. We had a great challenge before us, because burley tobacco had been our #1 cash crop in this state for many, many years. And we knew what we were up against in losing that, but we tried to transcend that program and taking that money to invest in other things, and how that's been working in Kentucky. And we got our fair share. And then for the FFA Foundation, along with the 4-H Foundation, we joined hands and said, we've got to transition young people. A lot of our members here have been cash tobacco producers. We deserve part of that money to transfer their families and transition their families from a tobacco economy to whatever it is it's going to be. If it's vineyards, if it's strawberries, or if it's going to be forestry, or if it's going to be wood making, or if it's going to be a few more cows, or a few more poultry industry, or whatever it's going to be. We've got to transition. We want to keep our folks on the farm. And when rural life is precious to all of us that have that background, that root. And so that's worked very good. And then for us to be able to get a $2 million investment for both of our 4-H foundations and our FFA foundations to support our program is a modern miracle. And the viewers and readers need to know that money can never be spent, only the proceeds from the investment that we use to expand our programs and offer new opportunities for FFA members across the state. And then I'll say one other thing. The addition of females coming into the FFA organization. There wasn't any females when I was a state FFA officer or a chapter officer, but now look at the leadership. This year, 10 out of 12 of our state officers are females. And what an addition, and what a contribution, what an asset that has been to our organization. Well, sort of a climax of my career, I guess. Went from farm boy to and I left out in there managing a feed mill and a flour mill and a retail agricultural organization for 30 years. Did all that kind of sprinkled in between all this other, and raising 4 children. But then, yes, as we matured that idea, I thought just left me there.
About the FFA Foundation, you took it to...
The foundation job was the climax of my career. I was trying to say, when he ended all this other thing, John Colliver was chairman of our board at that time, and I was on the FFA Foundation board all the time I was commissioner, and then before that I served 10 years on the board, ever since it was originated, I think. But anyway, I served on the nominating committee or search committee to find a new executive director, and we interviewed 4 or 5 people, and it was, I can't remember the third person on there. I believe it's in Bardstown, but, we didn't find anybody that really fit what we were looking for. And, John called me one night about 11 o'clock and he said, Billy Ray, I've been thinking a lot about this thing. He said, you know, you might make us a pretty good executive director. Would you be interested in that? And I said, well, John, I've never given it a thought, never given it a second thought to think about that. But yes, I will consider it. I'll think about it and pray about it, and I'll get back with you. So in a few days, I did think about it, talked to our family, and I had done a lot of pretty big things, and I said, I'm not sure whether I'm qualified. I don't know whether I can do that job or not. I said, you know, raising money, and I can remember one year Mike Stivers, one of my employees from Henry County, and when we came to the FFA convention, they got up and announced their goal that year for raising money was $77,675, and they fell short $150 or $75 of their goal. And I said, Mike and I got over in the corner and we scratched around our pockets and we gave them enough to make the goal. It's $77,000. And today, that budget, we just finished a board meeting there a while ago. We're close to $500,000 budget. And gosh, who'd ever thought about that? But anyway, with the addition of a lot of good people, I did that job for about 7.5, 8 years. Traveled all across the state, met a lot of new folks, reclaimed some old acquaintances that I made, but I would really consider that the highlight of my career and for the cause, what it's going for. I mean, you're affecting the lives and the future of so many thousand young people, and what greater contribution can anyone make? They paid me. But that was in no way the richness, and what I gained from it was satisfaction of seeing young people. I still see people on the street today. I see vocational agriculture teachers last night said, when you were the executive director, said, I came to the convention for my first time. I remember you getting on the stage and making a speech. You know, and that touches you, and that's special. Well, you know, I've been blessed with good health and a great family support, and working with great people. Nobody's ever accomplished anything by themselves. It's surrounding yourself with good people, and that's why I said there a few moments ago, I tried to find the very best people in the Department of Agriculture I could find, because if I did, I know they'd make me look good. But a sign of a smart person or good leadership is getting good folks around them. But the things we were able to bring about, I think, in the Department of Agriculture, we made a drastic change and transition over there in their attitude and the way they did business. Instead of people looking at it as a job, they looked at it as an opportunity. And then I guess the highlight of that thing was bringing the addition of the Ag Development Board money into play, and to not only for FFA but for all of agriculture throughout Kentucky. And then to be able to culminate my professional career, I was spending 8.5 years with folks like you, Dr. Byers, and Delmer Dalton, and Curtis Lucas, and Matt Colliff. I could go on, and Dr. Tony Brannon, been an outstanding leader in this organization. We've had a good solid board. Brenda Oldfield right there behind you is a teacher and now on our board, and a leader in our community. It's the people you meet along the way that makes your life, enriches your life, and the acquaintances and the friendships that you make, and I feel like I'm rich because of the people that I've surrounded myself with, and I've had the opportunity to come to know and to work with over my career.